you go. Stay there, Harry. Good boy, Harry. Alexa, can you list my Audible books?
Your Audible library has one title. It is Spare.
So on my other Alexa, I've got other books. Just got Spare on this one. I've got Dracula on the other one, and I've got the Bible as well. Right, so Alexa, can you put LBC Radio on?
LBC London from Global Player.
Get more from your smart speaker by linking to your Global Player account. You'll then be able to catch up on your favourite shows on your smart speaker. Just say, ask Global Player to link my account.
So, obviously, 2017, before then, there was quite a lot of terrorist attacks. One of my friends was part of the one in London. How she's fine, by the way, don't get me wrong. However, how on earth are we expected to protect ourselves as this little tiny island surrounded by the EU, let's face it, who helped us in World War II? So now, last week when Keir Starmer welcomed Zelensky, I was really, really hopeful that he could actually bring about a peace deal without Trump.
Yes.
I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. And I think he's done a really, really good job of bringing continents, the EU together. But the fact that that's happening now without us should be massively concerning for everybody, because we're not part of that now.
And you know, I think it is. Some of the polling, and you always have to take polls with a pinch of salt, but they're the best we've got. The opinions of Donald Trump have plummeted, but among Reform voters, he's gone from a 38-point net favourability rating to -8. We had a Reform candidate on yesterday who was no particular admirer of Nigel Farage, but the crystallisation of that position seems to be reflected in the YouGov polls. So that idea that they did this to us, that you have to recognise they're capable, these people are capable of changing their minds when the facts change. We have to remember that, and they will look at what is happening today, particularly if anyone takes the time to explain the Churchillian angle or to explain what lies on the road ahead, and they may begin to recognise the scale of the error that they were led into by bad actors. So you're clear on how isolated we are potentially. What do you think Starmer should do?
Potentially, I think we need to try and rejoin the EU ASAP. If I'm honest,
I don't think that's a problem. I don't think that's an option. But I certainly don't criticise you for thinking it. Macron says we have to be united and determined to protect ourselves. Are we part of that? He wanted to believe that the US will stay by our side, but we have to be ready for this not to be the case. So he's gone much further than Keir Starmer, who insists that he doesn't have to pick a side. Macron is saying, I don't want to pick a side. I don't want to pick a side, but we have to be prepared to do so. Because Starmer is not in the European Union, I'm not sure that he can go as far as Macron has gone. He has to say, we don't have to pick a side. Because if you were in the European Union, you've picked a side. Haven't you? So if you're in the European Union, you've picked a side. If you're talking about nuclear weapons sharing, nuclear capability sharing with France and Germany and other allies, you've picked a side. You are preparing for a world in which America is no longer by our side. You are preparing for a world in which the US is not staying by our side. And as Macron says, we have to be ready for this not to be the case. Don't want it, but we have to be ready for it because he's in the European Union. So he's on a side. Starmer is uniquely in Western politics caught between two powers, the United States and the United Europe. So he's the only man on the planet, politically speaking, who can talk about not. Some of the people in Europe, of course, have picked the other side. Viktor Orban, I think the Slovak president, they're very, very Kremlin friendly. That's probably going to change. I can't see, as the world calibrates, I can't see Hungary being allowed to exert the influence that it currently exerts in the EU through the power of veto. But here we are, United Kingdom out in the cold. Where in the cold? It's 20 to 11. You're listening to James O'Brien on LBC. Alan is in Wandsworth. Alan, what would you like to say?
Good morning. I think there was a Prime Minister recently who said along the lines of, we are where we are.
We are where we are. It is what it is. I should add, you are Alan Barnard, I think, the former Labour campaigns director.
Yes, that's right. Yes, I am.
Welcome.
Hello. Now, there's two things here. One is the immediate and the present, and one is the future.
Yes.
So Keir Starmer was pilloried when he got into office for never being in the country.
It's almost like he knew what he was doing, isn't it?
Isn't it just? There he was. We've been kicked out of the formal relationship. So now the only thing we can do is build individual relationships.
Are we still playing that clip of Nick complaining about Keir Starmer being off on his travels all the time, or has that dropped from the rotor at the moment on the promos? Oh, we're not. Okay. Just as well, really. Carry on, Alan.
Yeah, I mean, there we are. You know, he was doing the right thing. We have lost our place in the world. Keir Starmer was starting to rebuild it because these things get done by personal relationships. And when you don't have the formal structures in the same way, i.e. we're not at the table today, you've got to get out there and put the hard yards in and get round and speak to people. So Keir's been doing that fantastically because he's put himself at the front of this despite not being in the EU, which is really well done.
Yeah, he's put himself at the front of the thing he can get in front of, but he can't get as far as he would have got if we were still in the EU. So what does he do next, Al?